The clock says 0:58, but that number is lying. Because what it really means is this. If the next few minutes go wrong, the season is over. Careers get questioned, narratives get written, and someone in this huddle will carry the blame for years. The San Francisco 49ers trail by 4. The ball is already in the air when the defender realizes he's late. Too late to adjust. Too late to jump clean. Too late to do anything except react. Joe Montana is still drifting right, feet barely touching the turf, body angled away from the rush. A Cowboys defender dives, fingertips brushing nothing but air. Another collides with a lineman and stumbles. Montana doesn't watch them. His eyes are locked downfield. The pass isn't fast. It isn't safe. It floats, high enough to clear hands, soft enough to drop where only one man can reach it. In the end zone, the receiver plants and explodes upward. Not a graceful leap, a desperate one. Arms fully extended, body twisting midair, feet already drifting toward the boundary. A Cowboys defender jumps with him, shoulder pressed close, hands slicing upward. For a split second, both hands reach for the same future. The receiver gets there first, fingertips close. The ball sticks. Not clean, not perfect, but secure. He comes down hard, back slamming into the turf, legs sliding, momentum carrying him toward the line. Instinctively, he curls around the ball, squeezing it to his chest like it might disappear if he loosens his grip. The official steps in, looks, raises both arms. Touchdown. Candlestick Park doesn't cheer. It erupts. The sound isn't noise, it's release. A city exhaling years of frustration, doubt, and second-guessing all at once. Helmets fly. Coaches leap. Players collide in disbelief. Joe Montana straightens up. He doesn't jump. He doesn't throw his arms in the air. He simply exhales. Across the field, the Cowboys stand frozen. Hands on hips. Helmets tilted back, staring at the scoreboard like it's lying to them. But it isn't. The kickoff comes quickly. There's still time on the clock, but it feels irrelevant now. The energy has shifted. Dallas moves the ball, but the urgency is gone, replaced by something heavier. They throw. The pass is tipped. Another throw. Intercepted. And that's it. The field floods. Montana removes his helmet and stands near the sideline, breathing slowly, methodically, like the game is still going and he's just waiting for the next snap. A teammate grabs him, shouting. Another slaps his shoulder pad hard enough to knock him forward. Montana smiles once, small, contained. In the locker room later, the noise is deafening. Music, laughter, shouting. Someone replays the catch on a small television in the corner, players crowding around it like it's a campfire. Montana sits quietly at his locker, untying his cleats. Bill Walsh approaches him. "Did you hear it?" Walsh asks. "Hear what?" When someone said it was over, Montana nods. "Yeah." Walsh waits for more. Montana shrugs. "Didn't feel over." That's all he says. Outside, reporters build their stories. They talk about courage, instinct, destiny. They label the moment, name it, package it. They call it the catch. But inside NFL locker rooms, the moment gets a different meaning. Defensive players talk about it in film rooms years later. "We had him," one says. "Yeah," another answers. "But he didn't know that." Quarterbacks study it too. Not the leap, not the throw, but the sequence, the calm, the refusal to panic when the game demanded panic. They notice the small things, the way Montana stepped up instead of drifting back, the way he waited instead of forcing it, the way he trusted space that barely existed. Years later, a former Cowboys defender will say something that never makes the headlines. When Montana had the ball late, he admits, it felt like the clock worked for him. That's the legacy. Not the pass, not the catch, the feeling. Joe Montana didn't win because he was faster, or stronger, or louder. He won because when doubt entered the huddle, when someone said we're done, he didn't argue. He simply proved it wrong. The clock didn't stop for him. The defense didn't miss a step. The moment didn't get easier. He just stayed. And in a sport defined by chaos, that calm changed everything. The ball came down. The sentence died. And a standard was born. No timeouts. The ball is deep in their own territory. And the defense across the line isn't nervous. They're smiling. Candlestick Park is loud, but not hopeful. This isn't the roar of belief. It's the noise people make when they're bracing for disappointment. Jackets zipped tight, hands buried in pockets. Fans already rehearsing the drive home in their heads. Joe Montana jogs toward the huddle, helmet on, face unreadable. He hears it before he fully steps in. A voice, low, frustrated, barely controlled. We're done. It's not shouted. It's not dramatic. It's said like a fact. Montana doesn't look at the speaker right away. He lets the words hang there for half a second, long enough to feel the weight of them, short enough to keep them from spreading. This is how doubt enters teams, not through the scoreboard, through voices. The huddle closes. 11 bodies lean inward, forming a tight circle that feels smaller than it should. The air smells like cold grass and sweat and fear nobody wants to name. Montana finally looks up. He doesn't raise his voice. He doesn't give a speech. He says calmly, "We're not." Some players nod automatically. Others don't react at all. Their eyes are already racing ahead, imagining the blitz, the hits, the headlines. The defense across the line shifts, adjusts, creeps forward like predators sensing hesitation. They know the situation. They know what pressure does to quarterbacks. They expect Montana to rush. He doesn't. He calls the play. Simple, clean, nothing heroic. The center snaps the ball. Instant chaos. The pocket collapses faster than it should. A defender breaks through untouched, arms already reaching. Montana slides left, then steps up, barely avoiding the hit. He dumps the ball off. 5 yards. Nothing special, but it keeps them alive. The crowd reacts late, unsure whether to cheer or stay guarded. Montana jogs back to the line like the play meant nothing, like this is just another rep in practice. In the huddle, a lineman exhales hard. Someone mutters, "Clock's killing us." Montana hears it. He doesn't respond. Instead, he changes the tempo. He breaks the huddle faster. The defense scrambles to reset. A cornerback waves his arms, trying to get aligned. A linebacker yells, pointing, already a half step behind. Snap, quick slant, first down. Now the noise changes. Not louder, sharper. Montana looks to the sideline, but he already knows the next call. He doesn't wait for urgency to be suggested. He creates it himself. Another snap, another completion. The defense starts disguising coverages, showing blitz, backing out, rotating late, trying to confuse him. Montana reads it all, but inside the huddle, the earlier words still linger. "We're done." That sentence could have ended everything. Instead, it lit a fuse, because Joe Montana is about to do what he's done his entire career. He's about to prove that the most dangerous thing on a football field isn't speed, it's calm, and there are still 58 seconds left. The clock keeps moving. It doesn't care about momentum. It doesn't care about belief. It only cares about seconds disappearing. Joe Montana claps his hands once and steps back under center. The defense shows blitz again, not subtle, not disguised. They're daring him to rush the throw, daring him to make the mistake that ends it. A linebacker creeps closer. Another shifts late. The safety rocks forward on his toes. Montana sees all of it. What he notices most, though, is something smaller. A cornerback's feet. They're too square, too balanced, like he's waiting instead of reacting. Montana files that away. Snap. The rush comes hard this time. 2 defenders crash the edge at once. The pocket caves inward like it's been punched. Montana steps up, not back, not sideways, up. A defender's arm swipes across his chest, grazing his shoulder pad. Another hand reaches for his waist. Montana releases the ball a fraction of a second before contact. A tight throw over the middle. First down. The receiver pops up immediately and sprints to the line. No celebration, no signal. They're learning. The Cowboys' defense looks irritated now, not panicked, annoyed, like a plan that should be working isn't delivering the satisfaction it promised. Dawa 32. Montana doesn't huddle this time. He signals, keeps them spread, forces the defense to stay vanilla. The crowd is fully in it now, noise swelling in waves that crash down on the field. Montana backs up, eyes scanning, hands loose, snap, 3-step drop. The corner he noticed earlier hesitates, just a beat too long. Montana fires to the sideline, another first down. The chain crew hustles. Officials reset the ball. The Cowboys argue briefly, trying to steal breath, steal time. Montana doesn't look at the scoreboard. He looks at his linemen. They're tired, arms hanging heavy, faces red under the cold air. He nods to them, not encouragement, acknowledgement. 0-24. The play comes in from the sideline. Montana doesn't like it, not because it's wrong, because it's cautious, designed to avoid disaster. Montana steps forward and changes it. A small signal, a word under his breath. One receiver's eyes widen, then settle. He adjusts his stance. The defense doesn't notice. They're too busy arguing alignment. Snap. The Cowboys send pressure up the middle. A safety blitz is late, screaming downhill. Montana drifts right, keeping his shoulders square, eyes level. He waits longer than makes sense. The safety commits. Montana throws behind him. A laser. The receiver snatches it and immediately steps out of bounds. The sideline explodes. Not screaming, pointing, shouting. Coaches grabbing headsets. Naughty 16. They don't like the ending. In the huddle, brief now, barely a breath. Someone says it, quiet, almost embarrassed. Okay, it's not confidence yet, but it's no longer surrender. Montana looks around the circle. Same calm face, same voice, same thing. They break. The Cowboys rotate coverage late, trying to hide it. Safeties swap, cornerbacks press, then bail. Montana sees it all, but something else catches his eye. The clock. Enough time for maybe 2 plays. Maybe. This is where quarterbacks rush, where mechanics get sloppy, where throws sail or die at someone's feet. Montana doesn't rush. He calls the snap count deliberately slow, forcing the defense to hold their stance. One defender jumps. Flag. 5 yards. The stadium erupts. The Cowboys argue, furious. They know what that means. Montana jogs forward, resets the offense himself. 0-6. The ball is now close enough. Not comfortable, but dangerous. The defense tightens, backs pressed against the end zone, eyes wide. Montana steps into the huddle one last time. This time, everyone is listening. No one says we're done. Montana gives the call, then pauses. He looks at their faces. Young, old, scared, focused, and says quietly, finish it. They break. The defense crowds the line. No disguise now. They're coming. Montana gets under center. The noise is deafening. Snap. The pocket forms, then collapses instantly. Montana rolls right. A defender breaks free, closing fast, arms wide. Montana keeps drifting, eyes locked downfield. He sees it. The space. Not open, not safe, but possible. His arm starts forward, and the ball leaves his hand with the season riding on its arc. The celebration eventually thins, but the feeling doesn't. Long after the cameras cut away, long after the fans spill into the cold night air, the locker room quiets into something softer, exhaustion layered over disbelief. Montana sits alone for a moment, jersey half off, staring at nothing in particular. The adrenaline is gone now. What's left is clarity. He replays the drive, not the throw, not the catch, but the moment before it all started. The voice in the huddle. We're done. He thinks about how easy it would have been to let that sentence take root. How many teams have ended not because they were beaten, but because they accepted an ending before it arrived? Montana never accepted it. Not because he's fearless, because fear never controlled the timeline for him. Years later, teammates will say the same thing in different ways. He made it feel normal, one lineman recalls, like this was exactly how it was supposed to go. Another receiver puts it more simply. When Joe was calm, you didn't have permission to panic. That becomes the unspoken rule of every Montana-led huddle. Panic isn't banned. It's irrelevant. Across the league, coaches begin studying Montana differently. Not just his mechanics, but his behavior, how he walks to the huddle, how he speaks, how he never rushes the snap just because the clock is screaming. They realize something uncomfortable. You can't teach that. You can train footwork, you can drill reads, you can simulate pressure, but you cannot manufacture presence. That night against Dallas becomes the reference point, not the highlight, but the shift. The moment when Joe Montana stops being just another talented quarterback and becomes the measuring stick. Late game? Close score? No time? Who would you want with the ball? Becomes the question, and the answer stops being debated. Years pass, rings accumulate, moments stack, but defenders still talk about that drive, not angrily, quietly, as if speaking too loudly might summon it again. One former Cowboy admits something decades later. We didn't lose because of the play, he says. We lost because he never gave us the moment we were waiting for. The mistake, the panic, the crack, it never came. That's what killed the sentence in the huddle. Not the touchdown, not the roar, the refusal to blink. Joe Montana didn't silence doubt by arguing with it. He outlasted it. And in doing so, he showed the entire league something it's been chasing ever since. Pressure doesn't break leaders. It reveals them. The ball came down, but the real ending happened earlier, when a man heard we're done, and stayed anyway.